he has made a scathing public attacks on a woman High Court judge. And in addition, he has been attacking women, and especially members of parliament.
On the 25th of June 2024, the Deputy President accused the Director General of firing some senior security at the Intelligence Security Council
of the Constitution, and equally Article 147 would and unlawfully deny sections of the people of Kenya and the regions of the Republic of Kenya equal opportunities for the public service appointments and the allocation of public resources. And Article 147 subsection 1 and Article 152 subsection 1 of the Constitution, the allegation is that the Deputy President has been undermining the President and the Cabinet and the effective discharge of the national government's executive mandate. In the motion, the mover says the Deputy President has made unilateral public statements which are that he has been away from the expectation of his office being a symbol of the national unity. Our dear viewers, the Speaker's procession is already in the chamber this afternoon. The Sergeant at Arms carrying the mace, closely followed by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, are in the chamber ready to ensure that this business goes on seamlessly. My name is Gladys Mungai, and allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast brought to you by KBC in partnership.
Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetoa nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala haki wanadamu. Tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tunakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa za
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 3, messages.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Take your seats. Honorable members, I have a message from the Senate. Honorable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41-4, I wish to report to the House that I have received 2 messages from the Senate regarding its decision on 2 bills, namely the Equalization Fund Appropriation Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 30 of 2023, and the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 38 of 2024. Honorable members, the first message conveys that on Tuesday, 17 September 2024, the Senate considered and rejected the National Assembly's amendments to the Equalization Fund Appropriation Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 30 of 2023. You will recall that this House considered and passed the bill with amendments on 13th June 2024. Thereafter, I refer the bill back to the Senate for reconsideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 112(1)(b) of the Constitution. Honourable members, the decision of the Senate on the National Assembly's amendments to the Equalization Fund Appropriation Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 30 of 2023, effectively commits the bill to a mediation committee pursuant to the provisions of Article 112(2)(b) of the Constitution. Consequently, the Speaker of the Senate has appointed the following senators to the mediation committee on the bill: Senator Joe Newtu MP, Senator Mohammed Abbas Sheikh MP, Senator Professor Margaret Kamar EGH MP, Senator Tabitha M. Mutinda MP, Senator Daniel Maanzo MP, Senator Beatrice Ogola MP, and Senator Faki Mohammed Mwinyihaji MP. Honourable members, in order to fully constitute the mediation committee on the bill, the National Assembly is required to appoint 7 members to sit in the committee. I therefore call upon the majority and minority leadership of the House to nominate members to represent the National Assembly in the mediation committee by 7 p.m. today, Tuesday, the 8th of October 2024. I will then communicate to the House tomorrow the National Assembly members appointed to this mediation committee to ensure timely commencement of the mediation process. Honourable members, the second message conveys that on Thursday, 3rd October 2024, the Senate considered and passed the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 38 of 2023, with amendments. You'll also recall that on 7th August 2024, this House considered and passed the bill with amendments, following which I refer the bill to the Senate for consideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution. The Senate has now referred the bill back to the National Assembly for reconsideration. Honourable members, with respect to the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024, I direct. Thereafter, the amendments will stand referred to the Budget and Appropriations Committee. I urge the committee to expedite consideration of the Senate's amendments and report back to the House on Tuesday, 15th October 2024. Conscious of the House, that the House is scheduled to proceed on a short recess next week, I direct that the matter be prioritized for consideration on the same day. As and to remind members that conclusion of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024 will pave way for reconsideration of the Counter Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024, which was referred back to the Senate under Article 115 of the Constitution by His Excellency the President following rejection of the Finance Bill 2024. This will facilitate disbursement of the requisite funds to account governments and avoid further stalling of operations of the devolved units. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. Next.
Order number 8, special motion, proposed removal by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EDH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Honourable members, we are back to the motion. So far, so good with the morning sitting. As I directed in the morning, honourable members, we will proceed up to 5 the Deputy President indicated he will be here by 4. At 5, we'll call him and allocate him up to 2 hours maximum. When he finishes, the majority leaders will come in, and thereafter the mover will be called to reply. We have 5 minutes each, and the interest is overwhelming. If we remain with the 5 minutes, you know, not each one of you will have time to speak. The alternative to this, and I don't want us to go that direction, is that after the Deputy President has had his opportunity, this motion has no time cap, but we must finish not later than midnight today. So I want to hear your views. We continue with 5 minutes. And after the Deputy President speaks, I've got the minority, majority, and reply, and you go to the vote. Is that all right? Yes. Excellent. At the time we concluded, it was Honorable Kajwang from my left who had spoken. I'll now open the afternoon with the member for Ugenya.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Article 132 of the Constitution of Kenya report to this House on the steps taken to implement Article 10. Mr. Speaker, Article 10 is the soul of the nation. Article 10 is what the engineers would call the software of the country. It is what the doctor would call the heartbeat of this country. Mr. Speaker, through Article 10, this country gave to itself how they want to be governed. Mr. Speaker, Article 10 of the Constitution provides for us the map to where we want to go. Mr. Speaker, in the last 1.5 years, we've listened to and been treated to, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President piercing with a sharp knife through the very heart of the nation. Mr. Speaker, when we went to give ourselves a new constitution, Mr. Speaker, we said tribalism, nepotism, corruption, Mr. Speaker, are our ills. And we said that we will entrench Article 10 and ensure that going forward, we live as a country together, united, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the last 2 years, Honorable Gachagua has not only put a knife onto the back of our values and shared principles, but he's kept turning that knife, Mr. Speaker, to the level where if we allow him to continue being Deputy President, Mr. Speaker, we are going to risk the loss of the heart of this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the move of this motion, the Honorable Mutuse, read what appears in Article 10 to say about a person who believes that this country should only belong to one region, Mr. Speaker. It has to be clear today that we are not impeaching Mount Kenya. We are not, who has refused to follow the law every single day of his life. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Gachagua is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, not the Deputy President of Mount Kenya, Mr. Speaker. He is the Deputy President of Kenya Kwanza, not Mlima Kwanza, Mr. Speaker. It has to be said today that if you are to build together, if you are to run a country that has shared values, shared principles as of the law, Mr. Speaker, it is true, and it's been said by Kenyans, that we are all tribal. Of course, we all come from tribes. We also have our own tribal sentiments, Mr. Speaker. We all have our feelings about what should happen to our tribes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's even been said that Kufa Dereb have sent to court. They say Rigiji, Gachagua, and others not in court. The case here today is that of Rigiji, not others not here today. The case we're dealing with today is the case of Makanga, not Dereba, not passengers. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to deal with a person who believes that his job is to represent Mount Kenya. Mr. Speaker, on this side sits members of parliament elected by Mount Kenya people. It sits members of parliament elected by Mount Kenya people. On this side sits members of parliament from Nyeri, from Kirinyaga, from Muranga, from everywhere. Those counties also have governors. Nobody appointed Rigiji to be the benefactor. No one appointed Rigiji to be the custodian of Mount Kenya. No one. Because our constitution provides for leaders from that place to represent them. Mr. Speaker, by his actions that are against Article 10 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, Rigiji has alienated Mount Kenya from the rest of the country. He is out on him, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I had him mention the name of our PCS, the name of the Ford Kenya leader. Mr. Speaker, coalition agreements are done.
Give him 1 minute.
Coalition agreements are done between parties and among parties, Mr. Speaker. And if, for example, MDG where Iran has shares in the government, the shares are for the whole country, not for a tribe, not for an individual, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today, I must say that we will impeach him. But all of us here today must also soul search that as we impeach Gachagua, have you lived a better life yourself as a Kenyan? Have you lived your life as a leader? What have you done in your closet that reflects what Gachagua has done? We'll impeach him, but we must also change our ways as a country, from the president down to all of us who lead in this country, Speaker. I support and believe that he must be impeached.
Commissioner Patrick Makau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, allow me to give thumbs up for one honorable thumbs up for executing this motion and showing Kenyans that leadership is not about where you come from, who you are, but how you perform your duties. Mr. Speaker, this morning, I've heard many speakers talk to this motion. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the speakers who have said that yesterday and the week before, Mr. Speaker, I've been watching the Deputy President of this country doing rallies in town, going to churches, and Mr. Speaker, what we saw on Sunday was different from what we saw yesterday. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I want to advise us, even as politicians, sometimes we should listen to our advisors, and we listen to the right advisors. Mr. Speaker, if I were to advise the Deputy President, yesterday's interview was his undoing, and it proved to Kenya that yes, all these accusations that are being leveled to him are really true. Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm to this House, one, despite Article 10, he is the one who has championed tribalism through and through. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell you as a member of Parliament Mavoko, I have spoken the word Kenya many times, more than the Deputy President of this country. All what I've been hearing is Murima, 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 Murima. Mr. Speaker, today I want to tell Kenyans, I know Parliament has been prosecuted, and many words, we've been called names that we are an unperforming house. But today I stand here as a legislator Mavoko. Mr. Speaker, why am I charging the Deputy President to be a tribalist? Mr. Speaker, at one time, I listened to the Deputy President on national television saying that he reversed a cabinet decision to reverse the demolitions in Mathare. Why did he do that? He said his people were in Mathare and that he could not sit and see his people's houses demolished. Mr. Speaker, it reminded me when the people of Mavoko houses were being demolished. Personally, I went to him, and Mr. Speaker, I thought he could help me. But the words he used to me are unprintable, and I cannot speak them in this house. Mr. Speaker, today I want to tell him, those people that he was addressing, 30% of the houses that were demolished belong to those people of Murima. They belong to Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, I come from a constituency that is cosmopolitan. Today, as I stand here, Mr. Speaker, we have lost lives, We have had people whose properties had to be auctioned because they had gone for loans for those houses to build. Mr. Speaker, as a legislator, I humbled myself and requested and asked the Deputy President to intervene so that those houses, Mr. Speaker, a parcel of 4,000 acres, 325 acres, I requested him to have the 300 acres where the houses were seated, to have those people even pay to Portland. But the names he called me, Mr. Speaker, I cannot call the mayor. When I hear someone saying there are things which are not personal, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell them, those people elected me to represent them, and their pains are my pains, Mr. Speaker. Today, as I sit here, Mr. Speaker, the same Deputy President came to Machakos, and he said the Kamba votes are very little, they cannot bring in a president. He went ahead and said the Kamba votes, Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni combined are less than 1 million. I want to remind the Deputy President that the Kamba vote is more than 3 million. I want to remind him that Kamba nation produced Gay who took care of Kenyatta in prison. That same Kamba nation produced Munyao Kisoi, who flew the flag of Kenya during Independence Day. That same flag produced Muindi Mbingu, the former freedom fighter, who is my grandfather, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind him that same Kamba nation.
Give him 1 minute.
1 minute. Mr. Speaker, that same Kamba nation that you said their votes were useless, they are the ones who are running every night now, calling for them to come and save you in this budget motion. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind him that every tribe in this country is important and he should live to respect them. I support this motion for every reason and every accusation that he has been accused of. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sane.
Mr. Speaker, before I want to bring out 3 assertions which are highly distorted, emanating from His Excellency the Deputy President Gachagua. One, that he is a co-president. In every general election, 6 ballot papers are being issued to voters. And of the 6, 1 is for the presidency, and all Kenyans have voted His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. I did not, and no Kenyan voted Gachagua for any position other than being the president to State House. He was not elected. So the claim that he had acquired 7.2 million voters is unfounded, unfactual, and is just mere hallucinations, Mr. Speaker. So he's not a co-president, he is just merely an assistant to the president. A second thing, Mr. Speaker, he always talks of being trained in paramilitary exercises or acquired paramilitary training. He is supposed to be a symbol of harmony, a symbol of unity, not to intimidate, not to tell the citizenry that indeed he is military trained. That thing itself bespeaks volumes on who his character is, Mr. Speaker. One other thing, yesterday he has made disparaging remarks on the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate. The fact that his impeachment is coming in front of this House today and thereafter proceed to the Senate, it wasn't befitting for him to speak disparaging, derogatory remarks on our Speaker and the Speaker of the Senate. On to the impeachment motion, Mr. Speaker. Article 150, I think the threshold has fully been met in impeaching the Deputy President Gachagua. His loyalty to the president is questionable. His visits, whenever the president goes out of the country, the deputy president is never seen to see him off. Whenever the president comes into the country, The second principle is always not available to receive the president. He gives press releases that contradict the president, talks too much, giving epithets that make our president, demean our president, projecting our president a liar on several occasions. Yesterday, all Kenyans have heard that it is His Excellency the President Ruto who taught me how to respond to civil servants, how to address intelligence officers like Nurdin Haji, like the CID officer Amin. That in itself depicts lack of respect for the presidency. Mr. Speaker, it is clear in our constitution that he is the second in command, as espoused in Article 147(3), as read with 134. This he has failed. He has also shown massive erosion of the position of the executive, not being the assistant and showing the unity so expected of him, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President severally pronounced himself on matters discriminating Kenyans, that he has gotten his share of cabinet secretaries in his region. Cabinet secretaries belong to all Kenyans, and I think that doesn't befit. He has addressed public servants in public, and in all aspects he has violated Article 232, which is the same principles that is expected for the executive. Finally, Mr. Speaker, he also talked ill of public participation. The courts have declared themselves that public participation was well done, and yesterday it was done by the National Assembly, did not meet the required threshold. And that, I believe, is also being so contemptuous of this House. With those few remarks, I support the impeachment. Thank you.
Rafael Wanjala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this important motion in this country. Mr. Speaker, this is my second motion since I became Member of Parliament, the second one to discuss impeachment of our Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, I'm very disturbed the way our Deputy President has been behaving, because the Deputy President is principal assistant of the President. But always when the President goes out of the country, the guy recedes back to Murima, and then he starts asking Mr. President so many questions instead of running the country when the President is away. He's never available in Nairobi, except he's only available in his village, trying to ask Mr. President questions, and that, Mr. Speaker, has really annoyed some of us. Mr. Speaker, when there were floods, this Deputy President, Mr. Speaker, was assigned by the President that he's supposed to take care of the disaster that was there at that time. The man never moved from his home yard to other areas. He was never in Nyando, he was never in Budanagi, he was nowhere, and all the food he directed to his backyard. Mr. Speaker, I want to be very brief. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this Deputy President.
Order, Wanjala, there's a point of order. Yes, Muya.
Honorable Speaker, is the member in order to say the Deputy President has never moved out of his backyard, while it is on record and on public domain that he has been in Kisumu, in Busia, in Mombasa, in all parts of the country?
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President will only be seen in those places when he is accompanying the President, but he has never come on his own to see the destruction of floods. Mr. Speaker, these people of EACC did a service to this country, because for you to be elected You must go through EACC. Mr. Speaker, this deputy president was a DO. And Mr. Speaker, he was a DO. And as a DO, he was sacked on 30th July 1997 as a DO. And the reason why he was sacked, and I will table this later, that the EACC did not do its work and it cleared him to be a member of parliament and to be a deputy president, yet he was not supposed to be because of his misconduct. Mr. Speaker, this letter is read as Mr. Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, District Officer 1, Laikipia, through Provincial Commissioner, summarily dismissal. Reference is made to our letter dated 19th May 1989 on your appointment to the position of District Officer. I and your response statements to show cause for gross misconduct, desertion of duty, and reported mismanagement of relief food for Laikipia District. These are thief. In this regard, we wish to notify you that your employment contract has been terminated forthwith. Consequently, you are required to report to the Rift Valley Provincial Commissioner for handover and clearance. This was signed by Queen Rua. Mr. Speaker, this was a wrong man to be in this office in the first place. This one, for Kenya to grow, Gachagua must go. For to stop tribalism, Gachagua must go. For Kenya to unite, Gachagua must go. I tabled the letter and I support the motion.
Kagusha. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Raphael Wanjala has produced a photocopy of a document that we cannot get its authenticity. Honorable Speaker, the document that Honorable Raphael Wanjala is referring to is not.
Order, Honorable Kagusha. Order. Take your seat, Honorable Kagusha. Honorable Kagusha, first, from where you are sitting, you have not seen the document. Secondly, the Speaker is fully conversant with the rules of admissibility. And I'll look at the document and I'll direct you on how to use it. I thought I had given you an opportunity to contribute. You are going at a tangent that is totally unnecessary. If you want to contribute, that is what I had given you. If you are not ready to contribute, I'll give somebody else.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to stand, and I stand guided. Honorable Speaker, I want to stand to oppose the motion to impeach the Deputy President. Honorable Speaker, the reason why the new constitution brought about the issue of having a deputy president position, which is not an appointed position anymore, but a position that the president and the deputy would be conjoined together at the point of election, is so that the two of them can be able to work together. And that is what the country desired. That is what our people of this Republic of Kenya voted for in 2010 in the new constitution. Honorable Speaker, I want to believe that when we have been able to get the two of them, we should be able as a country, as much as practically possible, ensure that whatever misunderstanding and whatever differences that may appear or may exist between the two of them,
yes, Kagombe.
We get...
Kagusha, hold. Honorable Gigi Kagombe, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, is the honorable member in order to disparage the Constitution and mutilate it in the manner he is doing by disputing the provisions of Article 150 of this Parliament to remove a sitting Deputy President? It is constitutional, it is written, it was passed by us in 2010, and that work is given and granted by the Constitution to this Parliament. Therefore, the fact that the President and the Deputy President were elected together doesn't stop the provisions of Article 150. So therefore, he should withdraw.
Honorable Speaker, you know there's a reason why Honorable Kagombe is called Kagombe and not Kigombe. It's because a small cow jumps before he jumps, you know, a small calf. Honorable Speaker, you know.
Take your seat. Order. Order, honorable members, order. Order. Honorable Kagusha, take your seat. Order, honorable members, order. Honorable Kagusha, you are here the whole morning, and I did direct to the House. Order. Order. Order, Nabuin, take your seat. Honorable members, we have done very well since morning. This may be an emotive motion, but as leaders, leave your emotions at that door when you come to this house. I encourage you, honorable members, honorable Kagusha, treat your colleagues the same way you would want them to treat you. Don't make any disparaging remarks. That's not your duty. We just withdraw and apologize to Kagombe and proceed with your contribution.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to of Honorable Kagombe and apologize, Honorable Speaker.
No.
Honorable Speaker, I also hope that you have noted the Honorable Amombi has hit me with a bottle of water. Honorable Speaker, and that is unparliamentary. Is that unparliamentary that another honorable member should rule?
Order. Honorable Amombi, did you throw a bottle? Take your seat.
That is very unparliamentary.
Take your seat.
Mr. Speaker.
Amombi.
Mr. Speaker, is very bad that Honorable Kagusha is lying. Let him continue with the speech, but he should not lie in this house.
Order, honorable members, to the extent that the Speaker didn't see and Honorable Kagusha is not claiming any injury, let's leave it there.
Honorable Speaker, I am of the opinion we have a respectable gentleman by the name Henry Kissinger, and Henry Kissinger did state that the quest for peace and order has two elements that are sometimes treated as contradictory. He said that the pursuit of elements of security and the requirements of acts of reconciliation, if you do not and if you cannot achieve both of them, we will not be able to reach either of them. The road to diplomacy, Honorable Speaker, Henry Kissinger did say that may appear complicated and frustrating, but progress to it requires both vision and the courage to undertake that journey. Honorable Speaker, I'm of the opinion that when we have our two senior most gentlemen in this republic having such kind of a disagreement or an issue that is a misunderstanding, we should seek the way of reconciliation. The way I see us doing now, we are just following on the issue of security. We are looking at the issues of removal, yet we are not pursuing a very important goal in this, and that is reconciliation. And for that matter, Honorable Speaker, I am of the opinion that we should seek a way that we can be able to bring the two gentlemen together. Honorable Speaker, you know that in the past we have brought an elder by the name His Excellency Obasanjo. We have brought Senator Kuhn from US. We have even had a gentleman by the name Museveni, His Excellency Museveni, who have in the past mediated when our two senior most leaders in this country have disagreed. And for that reason, Honorable Speaker, I want to remind you that we have even had Kofi Annan in Kenya. I'm of the opinion that we should have gotten away.
Hold Kagusha. Yes, Shimba.
I want to inform Honorable Kagusha that by any dictionary that is known in this world,
Honorable Speaker, I did not ask for information from Honorable Omar.
Just relax.
Order.
Honorable Speaker, I do not desire to have any information from Honorable
Your information, take your seat. Finish up.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So Honorable Speaker, I would like to complete my statement.
Yeah, finish up. Give him a minute. Finish up. Time is up. Give him a minute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would just like to complete my statement by saying that I wish that as a country we are able to come up with a mechanism in which we can be able to bring our senior leaders when they have a disagreement in such a way that they can be able to reconcile and agree. Because, Honorable Speaker, even when we open the Pandora's box of impeachment, Honorable Speaker, we are going to be opening something that we may not be able to contain. We are now likely to have many impeachments coming to this House because we have started something that, Honorable Speaker, sometimes we are not able to contain in coming days. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
He's off the floor, Junet, so you cannot raise this.
The Speaker, I wanted to clarify that the matter before the House is not a disagreement of anyone. It is a motion that has been tabled by Honorable Mutuse that has 8 counts, 11 grounds. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing a motion that contains 11 grounds. We are not discussing any disagreements of anyone with his wife, with his farmer, with his cook. We are not discussing those things.
Mama Zamzam.
Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kuchangia mada ya leo ya kuweza kung'oa mamlakani naibu wa rais. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, naibu wa rais amekuwa akizunguka Kenya nzima. Na akizungumza, mimi kwanza nilikuwa nauliza Mheshimiwa Spika, naibu wa rais amesahau dawa zake kumeza ama kuna shida Mheshimiwa Spika? Kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, naibu wa rais alikuwa akizunguka kila mahali. Anazungumzia mambo ya ukabila, anazungumza mambo ya shares. Mimi najiuliza, Mombasa County Mheshimiwa Spika, sisi ndio tulikusanya ushuru zaidi tukawa nambari 1 Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini naibu wa rais akizungumza, anazungumza mambo ya shares, mambo ya mlima, mambo ya nini. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, ukiona naibu wa rais anaweza kumkosoa rais mbele ya wananchi Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni
Honorable Wamchomba. Hold Mama Zamzam, hold her time. Yes, Honorable Wamchomba. Order, honorable members, order, Honorable Wamchomba. Side the standing order.
Point of information, clarification.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika.
Clarification, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I refuse to be muted when I have something that I need the honorable member to clarify. The honorable member must clarify.
Honorable Wamchomba. Order, Honorable Wamchomba. Hold your horses. Honorable Wamchomba. If you want to, you know the rules. Order. Honorable Wamchomba, you know the rules. If you want to inform a member on the floor, the member must accept your information. She has said she doesn't want. Under what standing order?
Mr. Speaker, the honorable member has talked about that Mr. Deputy President alisahau kunywa dawa. Tungetaka kujua ni dawa gani ambazo mheshimiwa anaongea juu yake. Na kama hizo dawa, na kama
Mama Zamzam, endelea.
Mheshimiwa Spika, wajua ndio makosa ya kupatia mabubu kuzungumza Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi nimesema huenda ikawa, sijasema amesahau, nimesema huenda ikawa, nilifikiria, nilikisia. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, kiongozi kama yule ambaye siku zote anajua makabila yote Kenya tunakaa kwa amani, tumeoana, tunaelewana, Mheshimiwa Spika, anataka kuturegesha kwa makabila kama vile tulivyokuwa na mambo ya Kaya Bombo, kama tulivyokuwa na zile baada ya kura za 2007 2008. Mheshimiwa Spika, watu walipoteza maisha yao kwa sababu ya ukabila. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nakaa nikishangaa, Deputy President alikuja Mombasa amesimama juu ya gari anatafuna ndizi na mahindi choma. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza nitupa takataka pale, alikuwa juu kama kuna watoto wetu ndio ufagie. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, pale juu ya gari Deputy President anazungumza akisema kuwa yule gavana atoe pesa za floods, wakati anajua 14 billion kutoka World Bank ambayo ni ya disaster management. Mheshimiwa Spika, zilikuwa kwa ofisi yake na aliziramba. Mheshimiwa Spika, alikuwa anajua 6 billion tuliweka hapa katika bajeti. Mheshimiwa Spika, hakuzileta Mombasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, yule ni kiongozi wa kugonganisha watu. Mheshimiwa Spika, na ndio maana najiuliza, kwa miaka miwili kampuni 22. Mheshimiwa Spika, hata mimi moja sina. Miaka miwili kampuni 22 na zote zina 5.7 billion ya mtoto, ya mke, ya nani, kisha bado unaenda kuchukua mali ya ndugu yako, unaacha mayatima, unaacha mjane, unamtesa, kisha utatuambia nini katika taifa la Kenya? Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi leo nasema angatuliwe, nasema kwa kutesa mjane Gachagua must go, kwa kukula pesa za mahindi Gachagua must go, kwa kutesa ukabila na Kenya Gachagua must go. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Ngogoyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to oppose the motion by the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, Member of Parliament for Kibwezi West. Mr. Speaker, I, representing the people of Kajiado North, Mr. Speaker, I have gone through the motion and the issues that Wakili Mwengi Mutuse has raised. And Mr. Speaker, I pick on a number of issues that I would want to draw the attention of this House to. Number one, Mwengi Mutuse says that all we need to do is to just believe the things he has tabled here are true. We cannot believe what he says is true. We have to cross-examine. We have to look at them properly. Mr. Speaker, I have gone through the evidence that he has provided on some of the issues. And Mr. Speaker, having 21 companies, according to Mwengi Mutuse, is an intention for the Deputy President to launder money, and therefore he should be impeached. Mr. Speaker, he did not say money has been laundered, but it is an intention. And he says it is enough for this House to just believe and therefore impeach. Mr. Speaker, I say no to that impeachment. Number two, Mwengi Mutuse, former Chief of Staff in Machakos County Government and the current Member of Parliament, is giving hearsay that he has heard. Mr. Speaker, he has said in his submission that they were officers who were coerced to write to change in Ministry of Lands without tabling any evidence from the document that he has provided. Mr. Speaker, this House cannot go with hearsay. It is not possible for you to make a decision out of hearsay. Mr. Speaker, in his accusations, he says that the Deputy President is a Mount Kenya person, makes issues based on Mount Kenya. I am the Member of Parliament for Kajiado North. He has visited my constituency for a development tour. The executive, through the State Department for Education, Mr. Speaker, constructed classes, courtesy of his visit in Enoma Tasiani Girls Secondary School, a school that rescues girls, specifically from asylum. Mr. Speaker, the only girls' school that we have in my constituency, the Great Kajiado North. Mr. Speaker, Mwengi Mutuse did not mention such issues, but he says, according to him, the Deputy President coerced, did 1, 2, 3, and Mr. Speaker, he wants to say that we just need to believe. Mr. Speaker, impeaching the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya needs more evidence than what he has provided. I find this to be very shallow, and Mr. Speaker, maybe in the words of the Chief Justice, this is hot air, in my opinion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have found very respectful submission from lawyers in this House.
Yes, Mama Zamzam.
Naomba nisijuzwe.
She is on a point of order.
Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka atoe statement of fact. Mheshimiwa Spika, huyu mbunge aliyoko hapa, hata kama alikuwa akifanya kazi county hapa, amekuja ni mbunge na ametoa motion hapa. Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi nataka nimwelezee mbunge kuwa wasema kule wanaosema kufa abiria, kufa conductor, kufa dereva, huyu conductor ameweza kupickpocket maabiria wote, hawana chochote. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hiyo aende tu nyumbani. Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I choose to stick to content.
Your time
I
is
choose
up.
to stick to matter.
Go on.
I choose to ignore the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, I therefore want to submit to this House that, Mr. Speaker, when a whole deputy speaker of this assembly goes to a public function in Nandi and says that I will oversee the impeachment of the deputy president, and comes to this House and is expected to vote, do you expect fairness?
Give him 1 minute. The deputy speaker spoke to that.
Thank you.
She has a vote, unlike the speaker.
Yeah, but Mr. Speaker, I just want to say
And she
that
will
I
not
find...
preside on these proceedings.
Okay, because I respect you, Mr. Speaker, I will not engage on that matter. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that Ngogoyo Onesmus Nguro, Member of Parliament for Kajiado North, says no to the impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Member for Taveta. Member for Taveta. The mic is there.
This one.
Is it working? There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For a start, Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion by my learned colleague, Honorable Mutuse. Most of the things, Mr. Speaker, have been said, but allow me to say a few things. Number one, allow me to borrow on the then Council of White House during the Clinton administration. He said, impeachment is not a remedy for private wrongs. It's a method for removing someone whose continued presence in office would cause danger to the nation. Mr. Speaker, my position is the continued stay in office of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is a threat to the nation of Kenya. I continue by saying this, Mr. Speaker. Between 1963, when we got independence, we had a vice president in the name of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. He never said, do not touch Luo Nyanza. During the President Moi's regime, we had George Saitoti. We had Musalia Mudavadi. He never said, do not touch Luya Nation. During the time of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, he never said, do not touch Ukambani. But we have a deputy president, Mr. Speaker, who is obsessed with a certain region in this country. Mr. Speaker, secondly, Mr. Speaker, much has been said by my learned colleagues in this House. But I want to borrow something, Mr. Speaker. Article 145 of the Constitution provides for reasons for impeachment of a deputy president and the president. The case of this during Sonko's impeachment, the question as to whether or not should be guided by certain principles. Number one, whether there is interference with the constitutional functions of the legislature and the judiciary. My submissions is that the utterances of the deputy president in relation to his cases in court is interference with the constitutional functions of the legislature and the judiciary. Another ground that has been given in determination as to whether or not there is a violation of the Constitution is whether there is an abuse of the code of conduct. Mr. Speaker, my argument is the constant pronunciation by the Deputy President that divides the country in terms of regions and tribe is an abuse of code of conduct and is a ground for impeachment. Another reason, another criteria given is the disregard and breach of fundamental rights of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. In Taveta, where I come from, there are two minority tribes. There is the Taveta tribe and there is the Pare tribe, with the minority tribes in Kenya. Article 56 of the Constitution says that the state should do everything within its means to ensure that marginalized tribes in Kenya are protected. Mr. Speaker, the pronouncement of the Deputy President about a certain region without considering the Tavetas of Taveta, well, the Pares of Taveta, is a violation of fundamental rights and freedom as guaranteed by Article 56 and is a ground for impeachment. Very lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. Even in Taveta, there are Kikuyus. So if we constantly obsessed of Mount Kenya, who will speak for the Kikuyus who live in Tavetas? And that is why I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, because of the obsession of Mount Kenya, because
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to, yesterday, during the interview, that this parliament is a bunch of clowns. But this parliament is guarded by so many things. But the very important instrument this parliament wields is this thing called the Constitution. It wields is this thing called the Constitution. It is the supreme law of the land. Honorable Speaker, one of the reasons why the Deputy President must be impeached is the issue of national unity. He came on public stage to talk about one issue that eventually will discriminate the minorities. One man, one vote, one shilling. That is important in the way he says. But in a sense, the regions that are behind, that are discriminated, that are marginalized, will continue to be behind. Honorable Speaker, Article 56, A1, it talks about minority groups, why they must be in government, why they must be represented. Honorable Speaker, this country must move forward, and it must move as one nation, one people. We are of different nationalities. It is the Deputy President who stood in a public place to say that the problem of this country is the Somalis. The Somalis are part and parcel of this nation. They have done great contribution to this country, and they cannot be excluded for anything. Honorable Speaker, the second issue why the Deputy President must and he has to leave that office is on the matters of national security. He is privy to National Security Council meetings. He attends. Sometimes he could chair. For him to come out and divulge those information to public of need to know basis, then it means he has crossed the red line. Honorable Speaker, the third issue is Article 147. The Deputy President is away. He is delegated to be the President. This happened in the 11th Parliament. When Uhuru Kenyatta wrote down that Ruto, President, even this time, if we have a president who is already determined to discriminate some parts of the country, then how do we trust him with power? Honorable Speaker, lastly, he is not assisting or supporting the president. Finance bill 2024-25 was thrown out by Parliament, was thrown out by the people. Not that people didn't want it, not Parliament didn't want it. Reasons, Honorable Speaker, I think the Deputy President must be impeached. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Farah Maalim.
Mr. Speaker, I want to weigh on this. We have had Deputy President, before that we have had Vice Presidents. One, Andrei Gromyko of Russia. To be a Deputy President, you have to have the capacity to sit on a block of ice with your pants down and make a green. A Deputy President is no more than a personal assistant to the President. And that's how it's provided for in all constitutions, all over. I haven't seen one in which certain executive authority is given to the Deputy President. In the US, if you remember very well, when John F. Kennedy was the president, there was a brother of John F. Kennedy who was Attorney General, who was called Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy literally did not think Lyndon B. Johnson was anything. But Lyndon B. Johnson kept tight, watched his cool, and later on he became the president of the US. In our own country, Mr. Speaker, can you protect me from our friends? In our own country here, I know many of you are not my age, you're younger than me, but a good number of you are also either my age or slightly older. When Moi was the vice president, which is the number 2, he was so humiliated, so much so that an SSP called Mungai slapped him in the State House in Nakuru when he was going to go and see his boss, who was the president. He did not complain publicly, he did not complain privately, he just went about his business. If you remember very well, when Kibaki was the deputy vice president, which is number 2, he was dropped from being the number 2 and appointed a minister for health in the Moi government. He went to the president, thanked him for giving him the opportunity to be his vice for 11 years. Mr. Speaker, can you protect the House? It's too much sound.
Let's go on.
He thanked him for giving him an opportunity to serve as his assistant or as the vice president for 11 years, and took up his job as the minister for health with a gusto, and did a fantastic job as one of the best health ministers we have had in this country. Mr. Speaker, many people have been deputy presidents or vice presidents or number 2 in the executive here. I am glad I have been vindicated, because about a year ago, I had said that Rigathi Gachagua is the worst number 2 in the history of this country. And I'm sure now I am being vindicated.
Order. Order, members. Order, member. Is that Masara? Yes. Maintain your silence. Carry on.
I said exactly 1 year ago, Rigathi Gachagua is the worst number 2 in the history of this country, whether a vice president or a deputy president. I'm glad I'm vindicated today. I remember when we had almost a collapse of the state and the nation in 2008, and we had the national accord on the floor of this house, and you were also a member of parliament. Raila Odinga was made the prime minister of this country. There was Raila Odinga, and there was also Kalonzo Musyoka, who was the vice president. Technically, in law, Raila was supposed to share 50-50 power with President Kibaki, but he was happy to say that he will support the president. And he supported the president until the term was over. I mean, that is what it's supposed to be. Here is somebody who literally, when this country is on the brink of certain serious problems, goes to Mombasa, and many of us believe that he was part of the so-called whatever, the riots that were there and the goons that attacked parliament. And then he creates a parallel press conference in Mombasa in which he castigates the policies of his own boss. His own boss, including castigating people whose authority is driven by the appointment by the president and passed by this parliament, passed by this house. Mr. Speaker, this man is bad for this country. There is need, this man is a heartbeat away from the president. God forbid, If anything were to happen to our president, he is the president. He is a danger. There will be no Kenya.
1 minute.
If Gachagua has anything to do with, as far as I'm concerned, he did not even give me the benefit of saying that let's be careful with the Somalis, we don't like Somalis. He called us warrior. You know what I mean? He didn't give me even the respect or the courtesy. I could not say Mau Mau. I would say Kikuyus if I want to talk about Kikuyus, or look for any derogatory name. I will not look for that. He didn't give us even that respect of saying the Somalis of Kenya. He said warrior. They do not have any role. They are not shareholders in this government. And you know what? I come from a region, Wajir alone, Wajir County alone is bigger than Central Province, Mountain Region, Western Province, and Nyanza put together. In Nyanza, and you have not gone to Garissa, you have not gone to Mandera, you have not gone to Marsabit where we share with our Cushitic brothers, you have not gone to...
Time is up. Your time is up. Yes, Dr. Kogo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, my brother, for allowing me to pass on this information. Apart from what you have said, Mheshimiwa, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is on record for insulting women as Malayas. And I want to go on record. He said that the one and only beautiful Honorable Jematia is a Malaya. And somebody can negate that, and I have to say it. I thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, your time is up. Give him 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, Speaker.
Yes.
This country belongs to us all. This country belongs to all of us. If you try to marginalize me, and tomorrow I take up arms and decide to fight that, do you think there will be a Kenya? Do you think 100,000 Somalis taking arms, there will be Kenya? Or 50,000 Turkanas? Or Sabaots? Or Pokots? This man is playing with this country. We shall not have stability, Mr. Speaker. We must have a country in which we all feel that we are loved and we are equals. Equals! Mr. Speaker, I support this motion of impeaching Gachagua. Let's do it the fastest possible, and we should never have somebody like him in future in any position of leadership. Mr. Speaker, we are all equals in this country. There's nobody who's more equal. We fought for independence. All of us fought for independence, although some will want to try and hide the...
Your time is up. Member for Turkana at the back. That is who? Emadhe. Emadhe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to just give some comments on the same. Honorable Speaker, when the Deputy President was being sworn in at Kasarani, I only knew him as a personal assistant to the former President Uhuru. And after he spoke and he sat down, I was seated close to Honorable Kiborek. I told Honorable Kiborek that this is not going to be a good person. From the analogy that formerly he was a PA to the former president, and the manner in which he spoke to me was in the contrary. I just said that when he was being sworn in, I didn't know him. The only thing I knew about him was he was a PA. Now, the chicken have come home to roast. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say that I support his impeachment the same manner in which over 92% of my constituents in Turkana Central have agreed that we do the impeachment. Honorable Speaker, the impeachment is in two parts. There is the anti-corruption part of it, and there is the ethical or the ethics part of it. I want to speak on the ethics. And Honorable Speaker, here is a man who is full of himself. He is a very proud person, and Honorable Speaker, He doesn't even know what to say. He just speaks in the manner that does not depict him as the deputy president of this country. Honorable Speaker, the Bible in the book of James brings out the bad part of the tongue. It says the tongue is this part of the body that is a world of evil. It is a fire. Honorable Speaker, the tongue corrupts the whole body. That is what the Bible says in the book of James. Honorable Speaker, in this juncture, I want to say that as a UDA member in the Kenya Kwanza government, I want to say that it says we are not in agreement to work together with the deputy president. I am not in agreement as a member who was ascribed to the party that I may not be able to work with the deputy president because we have to agree. And what we are processing today here, Honorable Speaker, is a divorce. We are processing a divorce because under Article 56, this is a man who will not be able to speak for the minorities. He is a man who will not speak for the marginalized. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, again.
Such a woman was found in adultery and she was supposed to be stoned to death. But what Jesus told them, he told them that if they do not have sin,